I would say you talk to so many insurance agents and even insurance agency owners, and they do somewhat tout their service. Oh, well, sales is an extension of our service. I would assume that one, there was a sales pitch to the prospective producer on how to, hey, like get that part out of your mind. Like we're going to do that for you. But I would also assume to selling the client, like to be able to pass them off to the service team probably took some training to usher that through, right? So like, hey, John, I just want to let you know, your auto and home, we've got everything taken care of. From now on, Susan's going to be your go-to. Like they're going to take great care of you. Was that part of your, like in your sales pitch?
Which is funny you bring that up, Ryan, because I specifically can think of multiple producers that came into our agency and had the mindset of, but I really want to take care of that client from the time that they're with our agency. Like I can't give that up. I literally have those people in my head right now. And we had to just say, get that out of your head right now, because it's just not going to wait. It's not going to make sure that you build a quality book of business. You're not going to scale that way. You got to make sure that you're handing off that relationship in a proper manner. And so it's quoting, selling, issuing the business, and then introducing them to your service team in a proper welcome email. If it has to be a phone call, great. And then that service team jumping in and saying hi in a proper manner as well. And so that worked well for us. But you're right. We had so many people come in and say, but I'm used to this. This is the way it's always been done in my agency, in my captive agency, whatever it was. So grooming them and retraining their brain into like this trust that this process does work. It's proving a 96+% retention rate. The client at the end of the day doesn't really care who's handling their service, right? They just want it done quick and easy. And just because you happen to be their agent, like you can still have a relationship, but it doesn't have to be the person who's handling the request. And that was our mindset.
And Andy's right. I think producers have a tough time letting go of the client, right? They work so hard to bring them in, blood, sweat, and tears, getting them into the agency, and it's tough to hand off that relationship to service. But if a producer truly looks at, the hours that they have in a day to work, at some point, you're going to max out your hours and you're going to max out the size of your book that you can grow if you're doing your own service. Like that's just the reality of it. And what you'll find is once you max out, then your book will start to decline because you're doing more service than sales, and then your marketing drops off, right? Now the leads stop coming in, and now you're starting from scratch. So that's kind of one of the factors that we always educated our producers on is like, look, you're better served doing one thing and doing it really well, and that's marketing and selling business. Let the service team do what they do best, which is retention and cross-sell, right? Retain the business, service it well, and sell more policies. And so when we created that dynamic in our agency, that's really when we started to really take off. And we saw our producers being able to produce, 50, 60, 70, 100K a month in new business because they were really able to focus on marketing and selling business. And when you have those systems in place to really focus on that, you can rinse and repeat like crazy. So I think it's just, it's helping your producers understand that dynamic.
Something interesting that, we probably should talk more about is that you didn't come into the industry as a producer to service, right? And you think that you have to do that because that's what you're used to and that's what most companies have done. But you came into this business because you're a good salesperson and you want to be on the phones grinding and selling deals, and that's what makes you feel good.
It's tough because our value proposition in the independent space over at direct is you have the human touch, right? You get me, you get my expertise, and that's what people buy, right? But I think when you set your agency up in a way that still gives that experience of what you're selling, but it's not necessarily the salesperson that's giving that experience once the policies are bound, clients are okay with that. They still get what they want. Your value proposition is still viable, and probably even more so with this type of setup. So I think it's agents just, still preaching the message of this is why you buy from an independent agent without having to be the one to touch every single policy and every single client at every point. So